Good morning students. I hope you are all doing good. Let us see what we are going to discuss in today's class. Good morning students. In previous class we have completed with first step. That first step is nothing but concentration of war. Just once I will recall that one and we will go to next step. In concentration of war, we have seen 4 steps. Okay, by using that 4 steps, we can separate fusible impurities. That is nothing but matrix or gangue. Is it okay? What are those 4 steps? First step is hydraulic washing. Second step is second method. Second method is magnetic separation method. Third method is froth flotation process. And fourth method is leaching. Okay, those methods clearly in what way we have to do and what are the things they are going to do. All these things we have seen in previous class. Is it okay, ma? Now this is first step completed. Under that again 4 methods we discussed. In that 3 are physical methods and 1 is chemical method. Next, coming to second step. Second step is nothing but extraction of metal. Second step is nothing but extraction of metal. Okay. Now observe carefully. After concentration of war, we will be remained with metallic compound plus infusible impurities. Is it right? Because in first step we will remove only fusible impurities. In first step, by following those 4 methods, we will remove only fusible impurities. After removal of the fusible impurities, we will be remained with metallic compound plus infusible impurities. This one is forwarded to extraction of metal. Is it okay? In this extraction of metal, again 2 steps are there. Conversion of the metallic compound into oxide. What are the 2 steps? Under this extraction of metal, again 2 steps are there. A. Conversion of the metallic compound into oxide. Whatever the metallic compound, that might be sulfide, carbonate, fluoride, whatever it is, that must be converted to oxide. Because from oxide, we can separate the metal easily. Is it okay? So whatever the combination of metal, that is Mx. Mx is converted to MO. Meaning of that one, whatever the compound might be, that suppose some are occurrence in fluorides, some are present in sulfides, some are present in carbonates, some are present in hydrated oxides. Like that, different types of metallic compounds are there. Whatever the metallic compound might be, in our first step, we have to convert that metallic compound to metallic oxide. Is it okay? Now, under this conversion of the metallic compound into oxide, we have rusting. We will use the process called rusting and calcination. For the conversion of metallic compound to metallic oxide, we will use rusting and calcination. At the time we are going to see the process, I will be clarifying that one. First generalization I am telling here. Metallic compound plus infusible impurities. Generally you will think about this infusible impurities. In this method only, in the second step extraction of metal itself, we will convert this infusible impurities to fusible impurities by adding flux. There is no separate step for infusible impurity separation. For infusible impurity separation, there is no separate step. First step, we will separate matrix or gangue, that only. In second step, along with extraction of metal, we will separate the infusible impurities also. So flux also will be added in this step only. Is it okay? So A, conversion of the metallic compound into oxide. Mx is converted to MO by using the methods called rusting and calcination. And second one, B. This metallic oxide, whatever it is obtained from A step, that metallic oxide will be reacted with one substance. That metallic oxide will be reacted with one substance to form metal plus other substance. What is that substance? I will tell you. Metallic oxide reacts with the suitable reagent here to be converted to metal. Okay, here metallic oxide is converted to metal. Metallic oxide is converted to metal. That means losing of oxygen. It is losing oxygen. Losing of oxygen process is called reduction. So metallic oxide is undergoing reduction to be converted to metal. Metallic oxide is undergoing reduction to be formed as M. MO loses oxygen to be formed as M. That means it is undergoing reduction. For metallic oxide to undergo reduction, which substance is helping this one? For metallic oxide to undergo reduction, which substance is helping? The substance which I kept here bracket box ma. In that substance, one substance we will select. Is it okay? That substance is helping to convert that metallic oxide to metal. That means this is the reagent. This empty box, in this empty box, carbon, aluminum, like that differently we are going to use ma. Okay? In this box, whatever we are going to use, that one, that is used to convert metallic oxide to metal. Means it is reducing metallic oxide to metal. This is called reducing agent. That is called reducing agent. Okay, one more time. Metallic oxide is converted to metal by reacting with one suitable reagent. That reagent is called reducing agent. Okay, that reducing agent might be any other thing. Reducing agent is metals that are more reactive than M. M is nothing but this one ma. Metals which are more reactive than M can be used here. For example, here metal is silver. For example, here not silver ma, copper. Here metal is copper. So here we can use sodium, aluminum, magnesium, anything, because those are all metals which are high reactive than copper. So we can use here. So in this reducing agent we can use metals that are more reactive than metal M. Any metal which is more reactive than M can be used here. But remaining metals are also somewhat expensive only. Most abundant metal is aluminum. So we can use aluminum here as a reducing agent. Any other metal also we can use ma. But aluminum is more abundant na. That's why aluminum we are going to use as a reducing agent. That is called aluminothermic process. Okay, next. Others are carbon we can use as a reducing agent. Carbon monoxide also we can use as a reducing agent. Carbon we can use as a reducing agent. Carbon monoxide also we can use as a reducing agent. Like that, in the box we can use any metal or carbon monoxide which is suitable for us With the help of Ellingham diagram, we will see in textbook. While I am explaining deeply in the textbook, I will explain that one. This is rough explanation, ma. For getting one idea. Is it okay? Now, anything can be used as a reducing agent. Metal which is more reactive than that M, we can use. Carbon also we can use. Carbon monoxide also we can use. Particularly, if you use carbon as a reducing agent to convert metallic oxide to metal, that process is called smelting. Heating of metallic oxide to be converted from metallic oxide to metal in the presence of carbon as a reducing agent. In the presence of carbon as a reducing agent is called smelting. If you use aluminum as a reducing agent, that is called aluminothermic process. If you use aluminum as a reducing agent, then that is called aluminothermic process. Okay, so by using this suitable reducing agent, we will convert that metallic oxide to metal. By using some suitable reducing agent, we will convert that metallic oxide to metal. Is it clear? That process is called reduction of MO to M. In that, one suitable reducing agent is useful. This is like that we are going to do. But remember, this type of method, that is conversion of metallic oxide to metal, is useful in extraction of moderately reactive metals. Is useful in extraction of moderately and less reactive metals we can use. But very high reactive metals, this method is not useful. Okay, for example, reactivity series of metals. Reactivity series of metals: potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, hydrogen, copper, silver, gold, platinum. This is the order of reactivity of metals. Is it okay? If a metal is present in the form of oxide, like potassium oxide, sodium oxide, calcium oxide, magnesium oxide, aluminum oxide, for these high reactive metals, this method is not suitable. For these high reactive metals, this method is not suitable. This method by using reducing agent will be suitable for zinc, iron, copper, silver, like these metals, okay. But this method is not suitable for this one because these are all high reactive. This reducing agent cannot separate the forces between metal and oxygen. That's why for these metals, if they want to be extracted from their oxides, we need electrolysis process. Example, if you take Al2O3, in this position of metallic oxide, if you have Al2O3, here a metallic compound is converted to metallic oxide, okay, that is Al2O3. For that Al2O3, we cannot use reducing agent, suitable reducing agent, and we cannot convert that metallic oxide Al2O3 to aluminum, because the forces present between aluminum and oxygen will be very strong, because aluminum is high reactive. That's why it is not enough for reducing agent to convert that aluminum oxide to aluminum. That's why what we are going to do, for separation of aluminum and oxygen from Al2O3, we will use electrolysis process. Is it okay, ma? Now, final conclusion of this one. This is totally coming under second step. This is totally coming under second step, that is extraction of metal. In this extraction of metal, metallic compound plus infusible impurities are there. That metallic compound plus infusible impurities will be involved with first step, that is conversion of the metallic compound into oxide. conversion of the metallic compound into oxide. After the completion of this step, conversion of metallic compound into oxide, if that oxide is belonging to high reactive metals like potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, okay, we will use electrolysis process to separate metal from metal oxide. And if that is metal oxide is belonging to zinc, iron, copper, silver, etc., we will use this method, smelting. We will use that smelting. So metal oxide is converted to metal by the process of reduction. For that, one suitable reducing agent is useful. That suitable reducing agent might be like aluminum, carbon monoxide. For which type of this one? Zinc, iron, copper. For these type of metals, this technique is useful. For this type of metals, electrolysis process is useful. Is it okay? And conversion of the metallic compound into oxide is done by two processes called rusting and calcination. This is the brief explanation of the second step. Okay, deeply what we are going to study in this second step, we will see from textbook. Are you okay, man? Till this one, I hope you are clear only. In previous class, we have seen concentration of ore. Concentration of ore is nothing but separation of matrix or gangue. Coming to second step, extraction of metal, we are going to see in this class. Okay, let us see now, all of you carefully. And what are the things till now I told? Please remember carefully and follow accordingly. Okay, see. What is the second step? Extraction of crude metal. Crude is nothing but impure metal. That impure metal will undergo purification in third step. So, extraction of crude metal from concentrated ore. To extract metal from concentrated ore, it must be converted to a form which is suitable for reduction to metal. That only. It should be converted to one suitable form which is suitable for reduction. That is metal oxide. See. It must be converted to a form which is suitable for reduction to metal. Usually, sulfide ores are converted to oxide before reduction because oxides are easier to reduce. Thus, isolation of metals from concentrated ore involves two major steps. Those are conversion to oxide and reduction of the oxide to metal. That is second step. This is reduction of the metal oxide to metal. And first one, conversion of the metallic compound into oxide. Okay, once again see here, man. What is the first step? Conversion to oxide. And second step is reduction of the oxide to metal. Let us see first step. Conversion to oxide. Conversion to oxide involved with two steps, two methods. Depending on the metallic ore, we will see two types of methods. Those two types are rusting and calcination. Already I told. Now they will give example here, rusting, calcination and rusting separately. Sorry, not rusting. Sorry, once again, roasting. Sorry, once again, this is roasting. Rusting is nothing but iron is getting rust. That is rusting actually. Sorry for here. This process is called roasting. Okay, see now. Conversion to oxide involves two methods, calcination and roasting. Calcination involves heating. It removes the volatile matter. Volatile means evaporatable, easily evaporatable. Volatile matter which escapes leaving behind the metal oxide. So this is involved with conversion to metal oxide only. Fe2O3.XH2O gives rise to Fe2O3 plus XH2O. Water gone out, we will be remained with Fe2O3 only. We convert it into oxide. This is called hydrated oxide. Next, carbonate. This is carbonate. ZnCO3 is heated to form ZnO plus CO2. This method is called calcination. Heating in the absence of air is called calcination. heating in the absence of air is called calcination. Okay, see. So no air is present here. Simply we are going to heat here. ZnCO3 is converted to ZnO plus CO2. CaCO3.MgCO3 converts to CaO plus MgO plus 2CO2. Carbon dioxide is evolved, in which we will get oxides. So in this step also we are converting that metallic compound into oxide only. Next, coming to roasting. In roasting, the ore is heated in a regular supply of air. Heating the ore in the presence of air. Heating the ore in the presence of air is called roasting. In roasting, the ore is heated in a regular supply of air in a furnace at a temperature below the melting point of the metal. Some of the reactions involving sulfide ores are, generally this is applied to, roasting is applied to sulfide ores. Okay, see. Two ZnS plus 3O2 gives rise to 2ZnO plus 2SO2. 2 PVS plus 3O2 gives rise to 2 PbO plus 2SO2. 2 Cu2S plus 3O2 gives rise to 2 Cu2O plus 2SO2. In all these types, we are going to convert that metallic compound into oxide in the presence of air. Air is nothing but oxygen. Is it okay? Now actually this must be a extraction of copper. Okay, here no need to go through explanation of this one, because extraction of copper they gave separately again. Aluminium, copper, iron we are going to study in this chapter. 3 extractions we are going to study. In that copper extraction we will see now no need, because they gave here as oxides are involved, that's why they gave here, but no need now here. At the time of copper explanation we will see. Okay, so from this finally what did we understand? We converted that metallic compound into metallic oxide. We converted the metallic compound into metallic oxide. After completion of that one, we need to convert metallic oxide to metal. That is only crude metal. Crude is nothing but impure metal. Is it okay? See, first this is okay. Up to here it is belonging to copper extraction. Now reduction of oxide to the metal. See, this is second. Reduction of the metal oxide usually involves heating with a reducing agent. That only I told. Heating with a suitable reducing agent, it is involved. Reduction of the metal oxide. Once again, reduction of the metal oxide usually involves heating it with a reducing agent. Previously already I have shown to you. If that reducing agent is carbon, then it is called smelting, like that we have seen. This is conversion of metallic oxide to metal in the presence of suitable reducing agent and heating. Is it okay? Here we can select carbon, carbon monoxide, etc. as reducing agents. That one only they are giving now. Particularly if you use carbon as a reducing agent, that process is called smelting. Particularly if you use carbon as a reducing agent, that process is called smelting. Okay, now let us see after this one. Reduction of oxide to the metal. Reduction of the metal oxide usually involves heating it with a reducing agent. For example, carbon or carbon monoxide or even any other metal also. Okay, the reducing agent, example carbon, combines with the oxygen of the metal oxide. MxOy plus Yc carbon here gives rise to metal plus carbon monoxide. Metal plus carbon monoxide. Some metal oxides get reduced easily while others are very difficult to be reduced. Some metal oxides can be reduced easily and some other are very difficult to reduce. Reduction means electron gain by the metal ion. Okay. In any case, heating is required. So whatever the condition might be, heating is required for that one. If you use carbon as a reducing agent to convert that metallic oxide to metal, that process is called smelting. I hope you are clear till this one. Okay, we completed the second step. That means conversion of any metallic compound into metallic oxide. And next one is conversion of metal oxide to metal. Okay, all these are okay, ma. But what about our next thing? Thermodynamic principles of metallurgy. Thermodynamic principles of metallurgy. We are going to apply these thermodynamic principles of metallurgy in previous, that means in conversion of metallic oxide to metal. In conversion of reduction of metallic oxide to the metal, we are going to apply these thermodynamic principles of metallurgy. Okay, and in this one you will get one new term, new concept, that is called Ellingham diagram. Ellingham diagram. This Ellingham diagram is useful. Okay, at a particular watt temperature, we can use particular reducing agent, that is carbon or carbon monoxide. Carbon or carbon monoxide. What is that one? We are going to select depending on this Ellingham diagram only we are going to select. Okay. In what way we are going to study this Ellingham diagram, and what about these thermodynamic principles? All those things clearly I will teach for you. Before going to that one, till now what did we discuss? Okay, we completed concentration of 4 step, and next one, after completion of the concentration of 4, next we have started with extraction of metal. In that extraction of metals, 2 steps are involved. Conversion of any metallic compound into metallic oxide. Okay, after the conversion of the metallic compound into metal oxide, from that metal oxide we are going to obtain metal by using process called smelting. Okay, ma? Like that till now we have seen. Now what about this thermodynamic principles? I am going to explain now. See. It is very important for NEET exam. This Ellingham diagram is very important for NEET exam. Okay, how we are going to understand that one? Before that, in thermodynamics, we have seen one derivation, one relation, that is delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. We have seen one relation. That relation is nothing but delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S, where delta G is equal to Gibbs free energy. Delta H is equal to change in enthalpy. Delta S is equal to change in entropy. Okay. Now in thermodynamics also, in previous chapter, thermodynamics, previous means 11th class thermodynamics chapter also we have seen when delta G is equal to negative, then only the process is spontaneous. Meaning when delta G is equal to negative for a when delta G is equal to negative for a process, for a reaction, then only the reaction will be happened correctly. Otherwise, the reaction will not be taken place. That is the meaning of this one. When delta G is equal to negative, then only the process is spontaneous. Is it okay, ma? It is how much highly negative, the process that much easily happen. How much highly it is negative, then the process will be taken place that much easily. Okay, now let us see how we are going to discuss these points. Some basic concepts of thermodynamics help us in understanding the theory of metallurgical transformations. Some basic concepts of thermodynamics help us in understanding the theory of metallurgical transformations. Gibbs energy is the most significant term to understand those concepts. So, to understand the variation in the temperature required for thermal reductions and to predict which element will be suitable as the reducing agent for a given metal oxide MXOY, Gibbs energy interpretations are made. The criterion for the feasibility of a thermal reduction is that at a given temperature, Gibbs energy change of the reaction must be negative. That only I told. When Gibbs energy change is negative, then only the process is spontaneous. Negative. The change in Gibbs energy delta G for any process at any specified temperature is described by the equation delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. Now, where delta H is the enthalpy change and delta S is the entropy change for the process. When the value of delta G is negative in equation 6.14, only then the reaction will be proceeded. Delta G can become negative in the following situations. If delta S is positive, on increasing the temperature, the value of T delta S increases so that delta H is less than T delta S. In this situation, delta G will become negative on increasing temperature. Let us see what about this explanation, ma. Delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. Okay, first condition. If delta S is positive, delta G is equal to delta H minus capital T into positive. On increasing the temperature capital T, the value of T delta S increases. See, this is positive value. Once again, this is positive value. And this is negative, definitely. Then, when temperature is increased, T delta S value, it is 500 means 500 into positive. If it is 1000 means 1000 into positive. Meaning, when temperature is increased, capital T increases. When capital T is increased, T delta S also increases. When capital T is increased, T delta S also increases. So that delta H is less than T delta S. So total T delta S will be getting greater value when compared to delta H. Delta H is less than T delta S. In that condition, lesser value minus bigger value, you will get negative value. In this situation, delta H will become negative on increasing temperature. Are you okay? Then the reaction is feasible. Next, second condition. If coupling of the two reactions that is reduction and oxidation results in negative value of delta G. If coupling of the two reactions that is reduction and oxidation results in negative value of delta G, for overall reaction, the final reaction becomes feasible. Whatever the explanation we are giving, finally we are coming to one final point, that is delta G value must be negative for a spontaneous reaction. Delta G value must be negative for a spontaneous reaction. Okay, now see. If coupling of the two reactions, that is reduction and oxidation, results in negative value of delta G for overall reaction, the final reaction becomes feasible. Such coupling is easily understood through Gibbs energy. Through Gibbs energy versus capital T plots for the formation of oxides. These plots are drawn for free energy changes that occur when 1 gram mole of oxygen is consumed. Okay. The graphical representation of Gibbs energy was first used by H.J.T. Ellingham. This proves a sound basis for considering the Ellingham diagram. The graphical representation of Gibbs energy was first used by H.J.T. Ellingham. This provides a sound basis for considering the choice of reducing agent in the reduction of oxides. This is known as Ellingham diagram. Such diagrams help us in predicting the feasibility of thermal reduction of an ore. See, this is the diagram. And by coupling the reactions like that I told, these are the reactions we are going to consider and we are going to join them. Okay. By observing this diagram, after completion of this explanation, we will observe this diagram once again. Okay. By observing this diagram, we can understand that at what temperature condition, which reducing agent can be useful. Suppose if you take particularly one reducing agent, that reducing agent will be acting as a reducing agent at what temperature, and what are the temperature conditions for reducing the metallic oxide to metal also we can come to know. All these things, so much information, whether we have to use this reagent or not, like that also, so many times, so many types of doubts clarification will be happened by using this diagram. So much information we can get from this type of diagram. Is it okay, ma? So the diagram we will study in next class. We will study the diagram in next class, and what is the importance of the diagram? Depending on this equation part, we will come to know. That's the equation part, the diagram, and the remaining coupling reactions. All these we will see in next coming classes. Next class, ma. Okay. After completion of that one, we will be applying the applications of this metallurgy in practical world. Okay. So extraction of iron from its oxides. Next, extraction of aluminium, and even extraction of copper is given. So 3 metals they gave. Those are extraction of aluminium, extraction of copper, and extraction of iron. Those 3 extractions we have to study. And what about these electrochemical principles also? We will study them. That only we have told that electrolysis will be used for high reactive metals. That is only in aluminium we are going to use. That only we are using here. Cathode, anode, all these things. Okay. By that, crude metal will be obtained. That second step will be getting over. And finally, we are going to be remained with refining. Like that, we will study in next class. But this Ellingham diagram is very important for you. You have to remember very well and you have to understand well. And the concept is clear only. If you are very familiar with that Ellingham diagram, remaining concepts are simple only. Okay. Totally, our conclusion is we are going to use 3 steps. First step, concentration of ore. In that methods we have seen. And in second step, extraction of metal. Again in the second step we have two steps. First step, metallic compound is converted to metallic oxide. Second step, metallic oxide is converted to metal by selecting one suitable reducing agent. Is it okay? For that step only we are going to apply thermodynamic principles of metallurgy. For moderate reactive metals, thermodynamic principles, normal heating methods. Okay, see, for normal metals like zinc, iron, copper, all these things, by using heat energy, means in presence of reducing agent and heat energy, we will convert the oxides to metals. That is called thermodynamic principles we applied. Is it okay? And coming to high reactive metals, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, we need to use electrolytic methods. That is only electrolysis. Are you okay? So thermodynamic principles, and after that electrolytic methods. After that, finally we will go through purification of metal. This is about conclusion of our chapter. Okay, so in next class, one thing we will do, we will start from the Ellingham diagram explanation. Before that, how we are going to study the Ellingham diagram, everything will be explained clearly. Please follow the classes correctly and observe. If you have any doubts, you can ask me anytime. I will clarify. Okay, ma? Thank you all. Have a nice day.